I wanted to share one more thought before I left today. I had a conversation with somebody recently about a family member asking me some questions, and I've shared this story a long time ago, but wanted to reiterate it and talk about it because I think it's worth discussing. My aunt had a conversation with her son where she was saying to him that she was looking forward to heaven. I think that's fine. I think that's a good thing, looking forward to heaven. I look forward to heaven. I'm here in this world right now, and I'm going to be used by him to the best of my ability, or his ability through me, and I want to please him. I want to fellowship with him and do the best I can for him and with him, but I do look forward to heaven where there's not going to be any of this pain and suffering and sin and riots, viruses, nuclear bombs, shootings, drugs, sadness, just the general sadness, I think of this little sweet, kind, tiny woman at work, just off of the top of my head, I think about her. She comes in with her little nurse scrubs, and she's so pathetic, but just so cute and sweet. She's tiny. She can barely walk, and she has the sweetest, most pathetic voice. It's just, excuse me, can you help me? It's just so sweet. And the other day, she said to me, "Oh, you don't have any milk," and we didn't have any milk. Everybody bought all the milk. Apparently they're not stocking enough milk now. We get like a new milk driver, it seems like, every week. I don't know what's going on with the milk. But anyway, and we didn't have milk, and I apologized to her, but I feel bad for her. I think my boss usually loads her car for her, because I think she's physically challenged in some way, So it breaks my heart that she has to live in this world and struggle with all of that, and she has to suffer. She has to be in the midst of this, I'd like her to be in heaven and to have a new body and a new everything, I don't want her to suffer through what approaches, the judgment that's approaching. I just want to live in peace with God. I don't want to deal with all this racism, all this racial stuff today. Got so many people who just hate me just because I'm white, I don't return that hatred back to them. I don't want to deal with it. I consider it the human race, The human race, there's good and bad of all our differences, Some people just hate me because of my fat cheeks. God, his cheeks are so fat. I hate him. So, I am in here, and I am walking with him, and I'm dealing with tribulations, and He is growing me, and I'm growing with him. And we're walking together, and I love him, and I want to please him. But anytime he wants to let me go, I'm cool with that. So anyway, my aunt is explaining this to her son and saying to him how she looks forward to not having to deal with this misery in this world right now. And my aunt's got some physical problems, health problems. I don't want her to suffer. I don't want her to be in pain. Well, she's probably thinking under the same way. I don't like getting up and just, my back is broken every morning. I don't really enjoy this. She looks forward to a new body. She probably won't have back pain. There probably won't be pain in a new body. She's explaining this to her son, and her son responds and says, I think heaven would get boring eventually, He's a very smart guy. I shouldn't mock him like that, but I mock his response, thinking that heaven will get boring. Well, don't you think this life is going to get boring eventually? When you're in pain every day and you're 90 years old, if you live that long. I thought I'm not going to live. Didn't think I'd live past 30. But anyway, heaven getting boring. Well, what do you have to look forward to? If you don't believe in heaven, where do you go? What, boring. Heaven become boring. I don't know about you. This is a big difference, okay, between the saved and the unsaved. During the, on my days off, or during the virus lockdown, did you have cabin fever during that? Were you miserable not being able to drive around like an idiot and drive to 17 different places to try and entertain yourself? Did you have trouble with that? Did you have trouble with just sitting there at home and maybe watching a movie or talking to your family for once? Did you have trouble doing that? See, I don't have trouble with that. I'm fine with sitting here communicating with God, through His Word and fellowshipping with God. I'm happy with that. I'd be happy with that for the next 100 years, provided my body sustains itself for another 100 years. I'd be very happy for the next 1,000,000 years just talking with Him and walking with Him in the garden. I'd be happy with that. I don't think I would get bored. But see, the unsaved person, during this virus pandemic, during the lockdown, you saw people getting cabin fever. You see suicides through the roof now. Depression, sadness. They can't drive around to the next distraction. They can't drive to this place or that place and go here and go there. You have to sit down and sit still for a moment and listen to God, or listen. Can people do that today? Can they just sit there and listen to the silence? Listen to God speaking to them? Listen to their own thoughts, or God's thoughts speaking to them? Can they think even for a moment? No, we got to get to the next spot. We got to get to the next distraction. So, heaven, boring. To the unsaved agnostic, yes, it's going to be boring for you, because you have to drive to the next distraction. You need that next pointless waste of time. To the saved person, like my aunt, she looks forward to it. She's looking forward to it. Praise God. See? She's happy, peacefully sitting there. She's happy, communicating with God and thinking about God and fellowshipping with God. Unsaved person can't function in a world without distractions and conflict and this or that, you know. I'd be happy living it in peace with God. I don't think I'll ever get bored with that. I think that's a difference between saved and unsaved. And a long time ago, I used the example of Captain Hook. Finally get to the title of the video that I wanted to bring up. There's a line from the movie Hook with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams. Dustin Hoffman is Captain Hook, and Robin Williams is Peter Pan. And during the final battle, Captain Hook, after they fight, he says, "After all, what would the world be like without Captain Hook?" And Robin Williams trusts him, and he ends up betraying him, but he ends up getting eaten by the alligator anyway. But anyway, that question, what would the world be like without Captain Hook? What would the world be like without Satan? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a world without Captain Hook, without conflict, without Satan, without this misery, this sin, disease that's slowly cursing my body and defiling me and ruining me. The world's finally going to make sense. It's going to be the world that we were meant to live in. We were meant to be living with Him in the Garden of Eden, fellowshipping with Him, eating fruit, enjoying His creation. That's what it was meant to be. What would the world be like without Captain Hook? It'd be lovely. It'd be heaven, and I look forward to that. And then also the difference between the saved and the unsaved. The unsaved man can't tolerate that. Thinks heaven would be boring. That same day in, day out fellowship with God. God showing you the most incredible things imaginable. He'd get bored with that. You know what Captain Hook says? He says, death is the only adventure. He looks forward to his death. He actually wants to commit suicide. He's so depressed with life. That's all he has to look forward to is death, is hell, rotting there. The unsaved person doesn't look forward to heaven, doesn't want it, because it'd be boring. Versus what Peter Pan says in the last line of the movie. To live. To live would be an awfully big adventure. I look forward to life with Him and eternity with God. That's what I look forward to. It's not going to ever get boring. I don't look for, I don't know how you revel in the sufferings, especially of that older lady, I don't see the pleasure or the attraction with all the sadness all around us. Yeah, another example. Pastor. I think his name was Pastor, I missed his name, but I think he is a pastor. He has all kinds of pain in his legs. I actually wanted to ask him his opinion on once saved, always saved, but I didn't really get the chance. We've been really busy at work, but His legs. He comes into the store and his legs are crippled. He's on these crutches. He's trying to use these crutches and push the cart. He's a big, big guy. And I feel bad for him, but he keeps going. I bet he looks forward to heaven. I bet he looks forward to a new body. I know I do. I don't know. Just my thoughts on that. Do you look forward to that? Or do you revel in the now? The death now in your sin? Or do you look forward to an eternity with Him? You think you're going to get bored? I don't think I'd ever get bored. I never get bored of reading this or talking into this camera. It's not something I get bored with. Fellowshipping with Him. After all, what would the world be like without Captain Hook? It'd be great. To live would be an awfully big adventure. Praise God. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day.